The mirror in Peppa's room. You know that feeling, don't you? When everything seems calm, but something deep inside tells you otherwise. Like someone's watching you, even when you're all alone, especially when you're looking in the mirror. That's how it all began for Peppa. It was a regular day. Peppa was in her room, humming a cheerful little song. She stacked her books, picked up her toys, and put everything back in its place. The sun was shining through the curtains, the floor was warm, and everything felt normal, until she noticed something strange. In the far corner of her room stood an old mirror. She hadn't seen it before, or maybe she just never paid attention to it. It was tall, framed in chipped wood, and covered with a dusty beige cloth. Peppa stopped mid-step. She didn't know why, but looking at it made her chest feel heavy, like something was pressing down on her from inside. "Ew, that mirror gives me the creeps," she muttered. She walked up to it slowly, trying not to stare too long. She pulled the cloth tighter, covering every inch of the glass, and then she turned away, pretending everything was fine. But her steps were a little faster now, and her song had stopped. That night, Peppa fell asleep as usual, tucked under her soft blanket, her stuffed animals by her side. The room was silent. The moonlight slipped through the window. The clock ticked gently in the background, and then something began to move. The camera slowly turned toward the mirror. The beige cloth started to slide down. Not fast, not loud, just slipping, as if invisible fingers were pulling it down. And when the mirror was bare, inside the reflection, Peppa's eyes opened, even though she was still asleep, and the reflection smiled. Morning came. Peppa yawned and stretched as the light poured into her room. She rubbed her eyes and sat up. Then she saw it. The cloth was on the floor, the mirror uncovered. She frowned. "I'm sure I covered it," she whispered. Maybe it was the wind, but her window hadn't been opened. Later that day, Peppa was playing near the mirror. She was laughing, spinning, pretending to be a ballerina. Just a normal game, just a normal day. But then she noticed something odd. She turned her head, and her reflection didn't. It just stood there, frozen. And then it moved, but too late, too slow. Peppa blinked, and the reflection blinked back. Just a second too late. She stared at the mirror. Her smile faded. That night at dinner, she told her family, "I think the mirror is acting weird," she said softly. "It moves when I don't." Nobody answered. They just smiled and kept eating. The room felt quieter than usual. The only sound, the ticking of the clock, and the mirror watching. That night, Peppa couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, then finally sat up and looked at the mirror in the dark. It was still, but she couldn't shake the feeling, so she got up, slowly, tiptoed across the room. "It's just a dream. It's just a dream," she whispered to herself. Her hand reached out. Her fingers touched the cold, smooth glass. And then, the reflection smiled again. But Peppa didn't. She stepped back, breathing fast. The reflection stood still, watching. And just before the screen fades to black, you hear a whisper. "Sometimes reflections remember us longer than we remember them." Peppa didn't tell anyone what happened that night. She wanted to believe it was just a dream, that her imagination had played a trick on her. But deep down, she knew. The reflection had smiled first, and that wasn't something she could explain. The next day, she avoided the corner, didn't look at the mirror, didn't speak to it, didn't go near it. But the mirror still remembered her. At school, she couldn't focus. Everything felt wrong. The other kids were laughing, playing, but their voices sounded distant, like she was underwater. And when she looked up, she thought she saw her reflection in the classroom window, but it wasn't moving with her. She blinked, and it was gone. That night, she asked a mummy pig, "Why do we have that mirror in my room?" Mummy looked up from the dishes. "What mirror, darling?" Peppa paused. She could still picture it. The way the cloth had slid down, the smile. "The big one, in the corner." Mummy Pig frowned. "There's no mirror in your room, sweetheart." Silence. Peppa didn't reply. She wanted to say, "But I see it every night." Instead, she just nodded and went upstairs. But when she opened her door, The mirror was there, standing exactly where it had always stood. Beige cloth, gone. The glass was bare now. No dust, just polished, cold, silent glass. And Peppa, staring at herself, or something that looked like herself. She turned away, trying to ignore it. But as she climbed into bed, she saw it again. The reflection was still facing her, still watching. And this time it moved, even slower, like it was thinking. That night, she dreamed of the mirror.